So, coming from OpenAI itself, OpenAI and Broadcom unveil LLM optimized inference chip. So, I think this is kind of an interesting story because we can start to see how Sam Altman is going to try to position OpenAI when they go out for their IPO and basically give them a little bit more of a brand identity than they've had up until this point in time. So one of the arguments that I've made is that OpenAI was a first mover, so they had the first mover advantage. They got out in the world, they created an AI product that was very easy for people to access. They basically got a whole bunch of people on board with that particular product. And then in a lot of ways, they kind of just stopped. They hyper-focused on things like the frontier models, making the models themselves better, but they didn't really create better products. And so the issue that they're running into right now is that their competitors are creating products that are simply more interesting to customers or have less friction to use than what OpenAI has, right? So OpenAI is talking about creating a device. They're going to create their AI device. And then you see Apple come out and they're just simply building AI into the smartphone that you already own. So here's the thing, you already own a $1,000 iPhone. Literally, and this is what we talk about with friction, literally, are you going to buy a $500 additional device just so you can use something from OpenAI? Probably not. You're going to use whatever is on your $1,000 Apple smartphone. And so when Apple builds AI into the phone, they already have that connection with you. So it's relatively frictionless for users to start using it. We see this with Google, right? So Google is adding AI, or it has added AI into their search engine. So you're already using their search engine. They've added AI into the Android operating system. So the mobile operating systems, if you have an Android phone, there's already going to be AI built into that. Into Chrome, there's actually a small language model built directly into Chrome now, right? And so the idea is, with Apple and Google and these other companies, they're not just selling quote unquote AI, they're selling like use cases, actual products, solutions that happen to be powered by artificial intelligence. And so the issue that OpenAI is running into at this point in time is what is their market differentiator that people actually care about? The curious thing with their partnership now with Broadcom is what it looks like they're trying to do is they're trying to say that they're going to sell the entire AI stack. So if you think about things like infrastructure as a service, their argument is going to be is we're going to create the models and all of that along with the hardware so that when you use OpenAI, it will be the most optimized overall technology stack out of all of the competitors. And so I guess hopefully that means, it costs less to actually run. They can give you better prices, that type of deal. It looks like that is what OpenAI is going for here. So if we take a look at this, OpenAI and Broadcom today unveiled Jalapeno, OpenAI's first intelligence processor, an accelerator architected around OpenAI's vision for the future of LLM inference, and the first AI accelerator in a multi-generation compute platform the companies are building together to make advanced AI faster, more reliable, and more accessible to more people. So I think this multi-generational thing is kind of interesting. So with a lot of the hardware that has come out for artificial intelligence over the past couple of years, companies have used the best that is currently on the shelf. But the concept is they're not really sure what the best next year will be, right? So there's this whole concern about hardware migration year over year. And so the curious thing with OpenAI Broadcom here is the idea that they're building systems that are going to be multi-generational. So the idea is you'll have version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and they should all work together relatively seamlessly. OpenAI designed the chip from scratch around its deep understanding of LLM fundamentals, informed by its roadmap of models, kernels, serving systems, and product needs with partners Broadcom and Celestica, helping industrialize the platform through the chip implementation, board, rack system integration, high-performance networking, and scalable production systems. So if you take a look at that, that sounds a lot like what Apple did with the M series of MacBooks over the years. They've been able to control the hardware, they've been able to control the operating system, they've been able to control the software. So by being able to control the entire stack, they've been able to optimize to make that entire stack be able to run more effectively. So that looks like what OpenAI is trying to do here. Engineering samples of the Jalapeno chip are running machine learning workloads in the lab at production target frequency and power, including GPT 5.3 Codex Spark. While OpenAI is still measuring final performance, early testing shows that Jalapeno will deliver performance per watt substantially better than current state of the art. And so this is going to be one of the big things that we're going to be start seeing more and more out of these AI companies is performance at watt. It is not simply how many tokens things are able to churn out, but how much electricity is going to be burned in order to churn out those tokens. Quote, "The world is moving to a compute-powered economy." You know, they keep saying this. If you say it enough times, maybe it'll be true, right? There's this huge thing right now, right? The world is going to be run off of compute. As I keep arguing, my roof isn't built out of compute. My toilet doesn't run off of compute. It's amazing how much stuff in my life, as a technology professional that sits here and screams into a camera every day, it's amazing how much of my life actually, in fact, does not revolve around compute. But don't tell the AI people that. It'll make them cry. It just reminds me of this whole idea from back from before 2010. There was this whole push of basically everything is made out of code. There was this idea, right, that code is building the world. And look, as I've said many times before, look, code is great. Code is great. Code is wonderful. All of these products, many ways, make things a lot better in life. But we still need roofs. We still need roofs. We still need plumbing. We still need just base electrical work, right? Right. Meta right now is spending $150 million essentially just to train enough electricians to build the data centers where the compute will operate. So, anyways, with this whole compute-powered economy, calm down a little bit. Just calm down a little bit. President and co-founder of OpenAI, quote, "Jalapeno is part of our long-term full-stack infrastructure strategy to make compute more abundant, resulting in AI which is faster, more reliable, more affordable for people and businesses, and can be used to solve more important problems." What? Are you saying there's more important problems than erotica? Because isn't that your latest product? Adult erotica? Again, when we look at this whole AI thing, what's curious is I literally just did a video talking about Accenture, and that for most of Accenture's customers, so Accenture is a global consulting company, right? Most of Accenture's customers are not actually seeing a value return out of artificial intelligence. In 2026, they're not seeing a value return out of AI. And yet there's still this push of like, you'll get even more value. And it's like, so zero times anything, I do believe is still zero. If I'm getting even more value from this thing I'm not getting any value from, I'm not sure how to do that math in the modern world. Oh, let's see here. By designing more of the stack ourselves, we can serve more intelligence with greater efficiency and keep pushing advanced AI toward broader access. Quote, "Jalapeno was designed from the ground up for LLM inference using detailed insights from our close collaboration with OpenAI researchers. We optimized the architecture around the kernel's memory movement, networking, and serving patterns that matter most for frontier AI models. Based on early testing, Jalapeno will efficiently execute our most important workloads close to the hardware's theoretical limits. Jalapeno is a blank slate designed for modern LLM interference, not a general purpose accelerator adapted from earlier AI workloads." I also kind of think this is interesting when everything's going to blow up. So one of the big questions is, okay, when everything blows up, how much will servers cost us at the fire sale? Because that's what we care about right now. When our society is falling apart, will we be able to get good deals at the garage sales? One of the things I will point out with this, which is kind of curious, is I wonder with this technology hardware that's coming out, whether it's Google, whether it's Meta, whether it's OpenAI, even NVIDIA is coming out with it's really cool architecture. Anyways, one of the questions is, can it be sold piecemeal at a fire sale, essentially at an estate sale. So when we had the dot-com boom before and the dot-com bust, and we've had other booms and busts. One of the cool things is when people go out and they buy these massive servers for like pennies on the dollar and drag them home. And then they don't realize what cooling sounds like, outside of a data center environment. I had that with some of my customers, right? They'd be like, oh yeah, we went, this tech company failed. We went and we bought a couple of these one-use servers. You're like, what can we do with them? And I would look at them and say, have you turned them on yet? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, just turn them on and then see how happy you are. And you turn them on and they sound like a fucking rocket ship taking off, right? And they're like, well, maybe if we put it into a closet. And I'm like, dude, you pay me. I'll put this thing wherever the hell you want me to put it. I'm just saying I wouldn't want it in my building. But anyways, right? But the point there is if you have Xeon processors and normal RAM and SCSI or SATA drives or whatever else, the fact of the matter is a server that could go into an ISP, a server that could go into some kind of startup company, you could take that exact same server and then load your workload onto it, put it somewhere other than in your main business environment, and then it would actually be functional, right? So that's one of the things that we've seen in the other boom bust cycles is basically a lot of really high quality hardware come on the market for pennies on the dollar. One of the things I am kind of curious when this all blows up is when this hardware is no longer being used because everything's blown up, will it functionally be able to be sold for pennies on the dollar? If you take one of these jalapeno servers, do you actually have anything that you can use? Like, right? Because if it's completely optimized for inference, what that sounds like is it doesn't sound like you could use it as a gaming rig. It doesn't sound like you use it as a file server. It doesn't sound like you could use it for maybe some other AI server, maybe some kind of computer vision kind of thing going on, right? It is optimized for this one particular task. And so if you want to really make the gamers cry, you want to make the gamers cry. So all this RAM, all of this memory that's been eaten up for AI hardware, if that stuff is getting soldered in to task-specific systems, when everything goes boom, that does not mean you'll be able to buy a crap ton of used memory for pennies on the dollar. That means if all of this stuff is soldered together into purpose-built devices, the only value for that RAM will be to go through the shredder with the rest of the box to get recycled into its base components. I think that's one of the curious things I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. And I am wondering, right? Because all of these companies are building their entirely own architecture. And it's really kind of curious to think about, could you use these systems for anything else? I would say probably not. That is the full stack advantage. OpenAI is not only developing frontier models or building products on top of them, it is designing the infrastructure underneath them, chip architecture, kernels, memory systems, networking, scheduling, deployment systems, and product experience. Because OpenAI operates across the stack, each layer can be optimized around the same goal, making its models faster, more reliable, and more affordable to users. I feel like I've heard that argument somewhere before. I feel like I've been talking about these people. What are these people called? I think they're called the Chinese. I do believe they're called the Chinese, and they've got this company, Huawei, Huawei. Yeah, I think they have this company called Huawei that has basically been using this strategy for the past couple of years when they got embargoed out of the U.S. market. So it's interesting for OpenAI to be going down that path. Anyways, they go through some more information here, and so it'll be kind of curious to see where this goes and what the real value proposition is. One of the big things to think about with these kind of plays is it still might not be valuable for you, still might not be valuable for small businesses or even mid-sized businesses, but if they're trying to do kind of like an infrastructure play. That's one of the big things with Sam Altman is he wants AI to be a utility, just like you buy water or gas or sewage or whatever else. The idea is you have this centralized utility and that provides AI services for everybody else. And so the concept there is you wouldn't really be buying AI from OpenAI, from a practical standpoint, it would be a company creates a product that uses OpenAI as their intelligence resource. And so that's how OpenAI gets paid. And so for them creating this entire stack, it does. It brings efficiencies. It brings a lot of value there. You know, whether it's $1 trillion in value is a hell of a question. I would probably argue it doesn't, but who the hell knows in this wacky world. So what do you think about this with OpenAI, designing a multi-generational chip in order to do inference, basically with the concept of they will own the entire stack? Do you think this is a viable play? Is it like, wow, right? Like with Google, right? We were hearing for a while, we were hearing for years that Google was losing the AI race. We were specifically told OpenAI was winning the AI race, Anthropic was coming in second place. We were told Google was losing. They pull out Gemini Pro, they dump that into every damn product that they offer, and all of a sudden Google is a front runner. Right? When you look at what OpenAI is doing, right? At this point, it appears that OpenAI is the also ran, right? They went from front runner, let's be honest, down to about also ran. So now when you start hearing this kind of thing, do you think this brings them back into the race? I would have some questions. So anyways, put your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.